Good afternoon, everyone. Simon here. Welcome to the second video of our series, diarizing my process through working through squamous cell base of tongue throat cancer. You can see I added a few graphics into the video this time, and I'm going to try and keep doing that to entertain myself and have some fun with it. So bear with me if this looks like a half-assed attempt at a video, which in reality it really is. We left off the last video, waiting to get a PET scan to determine what course of treatment I was going to be doing, whether it was surgery or the chemoradiation process, or the chemoradiation protocol. I was able to get the PET scan done in a pretty quick turnover. The doctor was able to put a stat order, the oncologist was able to put a stat order on it with the imaging department here at our local hospital, and just had it yesterday. And yesterday morning, we had the results come back as well. So lots of news to talk about there. But first, I also wanted to just give a brief overview of what a PET scan is, and we'll talk about the results. And I'm hoping to figure out a way to put some images of the scans in to the video to make it a little bit easier for everybody to see. So the PET scan is basically an enhanced CT image of your body. The radiologists give you a radioactive isotope glucose liquid as an injection through an IV when you get into the procedure room. And what that does is you're having fasted about 12 hours before the procedure. When that glucose solution is taken up by your body into your system, the radioactive isotopes light up on the CT machine and give a very clear indication of where any cancer or infection is going to be, because cancer cells are greedy little buggers, and they take the first shot at getting those sugars into their systems because they grow the quickest. Excuse me. And so it's pretty cool. It lights up a little bit like a Christmas tree. And for me, I went in the procedure, like I said, fasting for about 12 hours before. Procedure took a couple of hours, but the first little bit after check-in was the very nice nurse just laying me down, giving me another IV into my arms and clearing it out with some fluids, and then putting the solution in and having to wait about 45 minutes to an hour while the solution worked through your system. After that, you had to a little uncomfortably lay very still for about 20 minutes whilst the machine took all the images that the radiologist needed. That was uncomfortable just because you had to sit. She asked me to sit on my hands, and they kind of went numb after sitting on my hands for laying down with my hands under my butt for a little while, but it ended up being fine. The very nice nurse that I worked with, I asked her if I could get copies of the images online afterwards, and she said, just go hang out in the lobby. Once we finish compiling all the data, I'll bring you a disk, which was amazing. I wasn't expecting that. And she brought me the disk out 15, 20 minutes later, and I was able to take them home. And me being the, amateur doctor that I think I am, I was able to get on my laptop and start looking around with them and seeing what I was hoping not to see. And as I was figuring out all those pictures and images and trying to make sense of it all, within 2 hours of the procedure, the radiologist had updated the report with some not so good news. Could have been worse, but not the best. Kind of showing what I had suspected, that there was some metastases locally from the tumor that was growing on the base of my tongue. I've felt these nodes under my jaw be a bit hard and firm, and there's definitely a third one down here that's hard and firm and enlarged. And I was kind of hoping against hope that it would be an infection and that would go away. But, excuse me, tea is a useful tool. But it did show enlarged nodes, and they were lighting up on the PET scan. Let me show you what those look like now. So as I zoom in here, the first image you're seeing is, pretend it's looking through the top of your head, down your body. Actually, in this case, it would be from the bottom of your body looking up. And you can see this bright yellow spot here is the primary tumor at the base of my tongue. The first thing that lights up, you can see it's very yellow compared to the rest of the system, showing that the uptake of the serum, what they call the SUV, the serum uptake vector, is very high, meaning it's very active and basically very cancerous. So that's This is my jawline. Here's the tumor on the back of my tongue. This section here is my tongue. And as we move up the body, you'll see additional readings and additional findings. The tumor is now moving on to the right side of my tongue as well as on the left side. Some glands at the front of the tongue are also showing signs of infection, of the cancer spreading over there. And then the more concerning of the images is this one over here, showing the nodes with metastases under the jawline. You can see this is the left side here. The two big ones, with the reddest one being the one that's showing the most metastases, and a smaller one on the right side of the jaw, opposite to where the primary tumor is. These are indicative of what they call locally advanced metastases, meaning that my treatment protocol was going to switch from hopefully surgery only to now a chemoradiation regimen. And I realize now, having watched that video again, I said moving up through the body as the images are taken, but it was down through the body. So pretending that the images, each slice was taken from the top of your head down, starting with the tumor, and then the rest of the tumor in my tongue, and then the nodes under my tongue. So sorry for that. So yeah, the oncologist then called me at the end of the day yesterday to review the results with me. First off, let me premise it with saying, find yourself a doctor that you are comfortable with. So far, I've been very impressed and very happy with the doctor I'm working with on the oncology side, as well as my ENT, and in fact, as well as the radiology teams that I've been working with a lot too. Everyone's been awesome. My doctor's very attentive to my questions and concerns. I do have a lot. I like things to be done quickly, and that's not always easy to be the case, but he was able to call me the same day that I had the PET scan, the same day I had the results, and said, look, stage 3, locally advanced. You suspected it. This is the way it's going to, best way to treat this is with the standard chemo and radiation protocols. Now, what that means, and I'll break it down for me going forward, as well as for anybody else that might be having to go through this protocol. I'll say that this is a very tough regimen. Head and neck cancers treatment with chemo and radiation is going to have a lot of side effects, but the outcomes at the end are going to be really better than most cancer treatments. They say 90% cure rates over a 5-year period for squamous cell HPV positive, which is encouraging. And I'm holding on to that as some light at the end of the tunnel. But the treatment's going to suck. There's no two ways about it. They're going to irradiate your head and your neck. So that means voice, swallowing, sense of smell, sense of taste, sense of hearing, eyesight could all be affected. Some people don't have the issues. Some people do. You don't know until you get stuck into it. For me, what the protocol is going to be is once a week chemo for 7 weeks. So once a week at the start of the week, typically 40 milligrams per meter squared of cisplatin, which will be an infusion at the oncology department. And then every single day of the week, Monday through Friday, give you Saturday and Sunday off, daily radiation doses. I think I mentioned it previously, 35 in total, 2 gray per session, 2 grays per session for a total of 70 grays, also over 7 weeks. From what I understand, first couple of weeks are going to be pretty tolerable, and then as the radiation builds up in your body, as the chemo builds up in your body, potentially could lose the ability to taste, swallow, hearing might go a little bit. Things are going to get pretty red and swollen around your neck. You're going to get ulcers in your mouth, perpetual dry mouth as your saliva glands start dying off. Nearly everybody has full recovery from this couple of months after the radiation and the chemo. The only potential is for some perpetual dry mouth post-radiation, post-chemo, which I understand could be permanent in a lot of cases, but we'll handle that as we go. I'll continue to make these videos each week as we go by, trying to give a breakdown of what I'm going through, what I'm feeling, and all of that sort of fun stuff. Try and educate everybody and help keep myself sane by talking about it. So what are next steps for me? I have got a radiologist, oncological radiologist appointment next week, a week from today. where I'll go over with the radiologist the exact type of treatment we're going to do, hoping to get the latest and greatest radiology that they can use for this sort of for tumor. It'll mean doing another CT to map out the tumor and where it's grown to, as well as the nodes that are infected, to get a targeting plan for the radiation itself. So they'll have a computer simulation that goes through and figures where everything's going to be and where they're going to shoot the radiation beams so that it doesn't affect other parts of your body um, as much as it can. They'll end up putting a special mesh mask over my head and shoulders and mold it to my specific body frame, which they'll then use going forward every single time I go in. They'll bolt it down to the table over my face, over my neck and shoulders, so that I'm in place and in the exact same place every single time I go in, so that they can see where to target the beams. And they'll do CT scans once a week to make sure that the tumor is progressing as they would have hoped. So that is the plan for that. Once I get that schedule all figured out, we'll work with oncology to make sure that the chemo and the radiations are synced up, and I'll get a full schedule from the oncology department and the radiation departments of what my treatment dates are going to be. The key goal is to not miss any days, because you don't want to. Apparently, you don't want to miss a day. You don't want to miss 2 days. You really want to stay on top of this every single day you have on the schedule. You want to try and keep to help be as effective as possible with your treatment. So along those lines, and talking with the oncologist, we decided that a preemptive PEG or G-tube feeding tube would be a good idea to have put into the stomach. Unfortunately, the biggest side effect about 3 or 4 weeks into the radiation treatment is you lose the ability to swallow foods and eventually swallow liquids as well, just because everything gets so damaged and so um, ulcerated, dried out. I'm not looking forward to that, obviously, but the feeding tube will be helpful with that. That'll be just a quick inpatient procedure. And also we'll be doing a portacath tube up here in the shoulder, or under the collarbone, I should say. So we'll do those things at the same time. The portacath will be a great way to get any IV liquids and the weekly chemo doses into you without having to get stuck in the arm every single time. And the portacath is a really cool little, they slip a little slice under your skin, slip it under your skin, put a catheter into your vein, and the skin grows back over it. And all it is just they connect it every single time you need to use it. I'll get into more details on the feeding tube and the portacath once I get them scheduled and get them done. And I'll do another video on what that's going to look like and what that looks like after the fact. So right now, I'm waiting on radiology. I don't think anything's going to happen for another week or so, and I'll update once that appointment is done. In the meantime, I'm just happy to know that I have a treatment plan in place. Like I said, it's going to suck, but it is what it is. You got to go through some rough times to get through to the good times at the end. And I will keep the channel going and keep everybody updated as we go. Thanks for your support, folks. We'll chat the next video, which will be video number 3 of the process. Cheers.